everything down. I'm going to go over this part here is like a slide, right? So this is a slide. I'm going to share with you what synthetic division is. And then we're going to do this example here, and we're going to try one example on our own, right? Just so we can get a good idea of what it is. So we have 2 examples that Ms. Mack is going to help us do. And then this example here, you're going to try, and then I will go over it after we try it out. Okay, so you can kind of like gauge how much of your paper you're going to use based on what I just said. Okay. Are there any questions before we get started? I would love, love, love if you would come off mute at some point today, even if it's just to say hi or bye at the end. That'd be awesome. Cool. All right, so Tuesday, we learned about adding, subtracting, and multiplying. And that was something that might have felt a little familiar to us, even if it had been a long time since we did it. Today, we're going to talk about synthetic division, right? So as you remember from last time, there's lots of different ways that we can write addition, subtraction, and multiplication. The same is true for division. We can write it with like old school, like elementary school division. We can write it like with a fraction like this. We can write it like really like write it out like f of x over g of x. Or we can write like this is how computers write it, right? So that's how computers write it. They're going to write like f parentheses x parentheses and then use that slash and then g of x. And then the word that we use to describe division is quotient. So if I was you and I was taking notes, my notes might look something like this. Might say division, and I might say f divided by g of x, and then I might say or f over g, or f slash g, or quotient. Right, so if I'm taking notes on my paper, I'm not going to write it exactly like Ms. Mack has it unless I'm like a super fast writer. I might write something like what I put in the yellow part there. Right. Cool. So, hey, Seuss, I don't know if you're in the right place, but maybe. Cool. So for this first one, right, they're going to ask us to do division right here, division. So if you already wrote down the notes in advance, this is one of the, I needed to like cross this out and do it a different way for us. So we're going to cross out this problem, and this is going to be our f of x. So if I'm taking notes right now, I would write down this part. And then if I have this, I'm going to write down this part. Cool. So all right, so I need to divide this one by this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write x to the third plus x squared minus 5x minus 2 divided by x minus 2. Like that. X minus 2. Okay, so there are 2 steps for setting up this process. You might notice that this is like an upside down division bar. Remember how like when you were in elementary school or like middle school, you had like 16 and you divided by 4 like that, right? 16 divided by 4. And then you were like, okay, how many times does it go in? And you were like, oh, it goes in 4 times. You might not know this, but in other countries, they actually make their division bar like this, right? They actually make their division bar like this. So they'd say, okay, how many times does 4 go into 16? Oh, it goes in 4 times, right? And so it is this kind of method that we are going to do right here, right? So we're going to utilize other people's, other countries' division for our division today. So for the setup process, the first thing we do is we take the denominator. Since it says x minus 2, we're going to flip it into positive 2. Since it says minus 2, if it was plus 2, we'd put negative 2. And then we're going to put a box around it. And I'm going to draw out that upside down division like other countries. Cool. So I have a 2 over here. Make it a little less sloppy here. I've got a positive 2. That's my first step. My second step is I'm going to write the coefficients of my numerator right here. So I'm going to write these right here. So when I say coefficients, I mean the number in front of the x's. So like right here, the number in front of x would be 1, right? So I'm going to put a 1 right here. And then I have, so x to the third and then x squared. Okay, there's a number 1 right there too. I'm going to put another 1 right there. And then I have my x's. I have -5. So I'm going to go ahead and put -5. And then I have my number by itself, -2. -2, like that. So this is the setup process. Every time the process is going to be the same. We take the denominator, we flip it into this number right here. And then we take the coefficients, the numbers that go with x's, and we put them in a tall line like here. Okay. So this is the setup process. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the 1 and we're going to pull it straight down. So that first number always just goes as the first number on the bottom. So 1 goes straight down. Now we're going to take this 1 and we're going to multiply it times this number, the box number up here. So 1 times 2 would be 2. And I'm going to put that number right here, +2. So 1 times 2 is 2, and it goes up. So we go down, multiply, up. So now we're going to go down to down again. So we're going to do 1 plus 2. We're adding here. 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. In order to get my next number, I'm going to multiply again. So I'm going to do 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. And put that number right here. Perfect, Gab. Right, so I went down, multiply, cross, down, multiply, cross. Now I'm going to go down again. So -5 plus 6 is +1. And now I'm going to multiply again. I'm going to multiply 1 times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So right here is going to be 2. And -2 plus 2 would be 0. I know that I'm done because I've run out of coefficients at the top. Right? I don't have any coefficients left. So I know this is my last number. I'm going to put a box around my last number here. That last number right there is my remainder. If you like saying things out loud, say remainder out loud. Remainder. So we have our remainder. The next number next to it is going to be our number that's by itself. The number next to it is going to be our x's. And the number next to that is going to be our x squared. Something like that. So when I write my answer, I'm going to write 1x squared, or I can just write x squared. I'm going to write 3x, and since it's positive, I'm going to put a plus right here. I'm going to write 1, and since it's positive, I'm going to put a 1 right there. And since my remainder is 0, I don't need to write anything. So I'm going to circle this as my answer. So to review one more time, this is easy but somewhat complex. Yes, I agree. So we take this number, we flip it to put it right here. Then we take our coefficients and we put them right here, right? Then from there, we do our dance move. So we take this number, move it straight down. This number times the multiply number gives me this. Add them straight down. This multiply goes here. Add straight down, multiply, blah, 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 right? And then we write our answer, okay? So that is my first example. Are there any questions about the first example? Any questions? Any questions? What if your remainder is another number other than 0? Amazing question. We're about to do an example where the remainder is different, so I'll show you. Great question. Great question. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna launch this poll really fast. If you are with me, if you could just say, how are you feeling about this? It's okay to be a 0, like this doesn't make any sense right now, all the way up to a 5, like I get this totally. Sweet. Cool. Okay, it looks like we're doing pretty okay. A few of us are like, this totally sucks, I don't get this at all. So we're gonna do another example, so that's doing good. Doesn't look like too many people are like at 5, but I'm gonna add that remainder in. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and write down this problem here. Write down this problem here. If you're taking notes and you haven't written them down or printed, this part is what I want to write down. And this part is what I want to write down. So what f of x is and what g of x is. And they're asking for the quotient. So we're going to do division. So I'd have x to the 4th minus x squared plus 5 over x plus 3. All right. Okay. What was my first step? What do I put in this box over here? 3. Yeah, absolutely, Anthony. We put 3. Remember, this is a positive 3, so we need to do the opposite. Negative 3. Yeah, thanks, Mia, for helping out too. Negative 3, right? Perfect. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Mia, as well. So we're going to put negative 3. We want it to be the opposite. Okay, cool. And then what do I put like across the top right here? What do I start with?
1.
Yeah, 1. Absolutely. Thanks, Gab. I'm going to start with 1. Gabby, where did that 1 come from?
From the x to the 4th, but since there's no number, there's just a 1.
Yeah,
So
totally. Absolutely. So we start with 1. So these are my x to the 4th. For the next number, I need to put my x to the 3rds. How many x to the 3rds do I have? None, right? There's no x to the 3rds there. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Derek. Thanks, Mia. There's no x to the 3rds there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 0. I need to put in a placeholder because the way that this works, I have to have x to the 4th, then x to the 3rd, then x squared. How many x squareds do I have?
-1.
-1, yeah. Thank you for pulling in that negative, right? The negative goes with the x squared, so I have -1. And then I need to have x's. How many x's do I have? None, right? I don't have any, right? So I have 0 there. I have no x's. And then I have +5 as my number by itself. So even though originally we were thinking like it was 1 and -1 and 5, we actually have to mark in those zeros for the ones that aren't there, right? So these are what we call placeholders. They hold the place for the peeps that aren't there. Some people, I know in my previous classes, sometimes people like to write like 1x squared plus 0x to the 3rd minus 1x squared plus 0x plus 5. They like to like turn this portion here into this first. That helps them to see, oh, it's going to be 1, 0, -1, 0, and 5. So some people like to do it that way, but you don't have to. Cool. Okay, so I've set it up. What is my first step? What do I need to do first?
Drop 1.
I'm gonna drop 1. Perfect. Drop 1. And then I need to do what next? Multiply. Yes, Mia, thank you. I need to multiply 1 times -3. So 1 times -3 is -3. And then now I need to do 0 plus -3, or just 0 minus 3 would be -3. And now I need to multiply again. So I'm going to have -3 times -3. -3 times -3 is +9. And then I'm going to add -1 plus 9. That would be +8. And then I'm going to take 8, multiply it times -3. I get -24. Whew, these numbers are getting kind of big. 0 minus 24 is -24. And then for my last multiplication, I'm going to, whoa, sorry about that. I'm going to do -24 times -3. And that's going to give me positive. What do you got?
72. Positive 72.
70? Yeah, positive 72. Also, thanks, Anthony. It's going to be positive because negative and negative, positive, but perfect. All right, so then 5 plus 72 is 77. So as Mia was asking earlier, Miss, what happens when we have a remainder? I'm going to show you this time because here we see the remainder is not 0, right? This is my remainder is 77. So that's my remainder. Then I have my number. I have x. I have x squared. And I have x to the third. Right, so I don't want to forget my constant. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put all these numbers together in one answer. So I have 1x to the third. So I'm just going to write x to the third. Let me move this over actually. X to the third. And then this is minus this time. So I'm going to do minus 3x squared. And then I have positive 8x. So plus 8x. And I have negative 24, minus 24. Okay, and then here's Mia's question where she was asking about it, what happens when there's a remainder, right? This is positive 77, so I'm going to put a plus sign. And then this remainder, we didn't do the multiply step. That means that we did not divide. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 77 divided by the original denominator, this one up here, x plus 3. So we're going to put x plus 3. This denominator right here is coming down here. So then this is our final answer. Our remainder goes at the very end to show the remainder. Mia, does that feel like I answered your question? Awesome, cool. All right, I'm gonna relaunch this poll. Now that we've seen 2 examples, how are we feeling? Cool, cool, cool. Couple 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. Love it. Awesome. Looking good. Cool. All right. If you are a 0 or a 1, I want you to hang tight. If you're a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5, right? If you are a 2, 3, 4, or 5, I want you to try this one right here. So I'm going to leave this one up on the screen just in case you need it. but I want you to try this one in your notes. So f of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 1, and g of x equals x plus 3. So you're going to do what's f divided by g. So we're going to do x squared plus 5x plus 1 over x plus 3. I want you to go ahead and try to set it up on your own. You're going to draw the box and the division sign. So think about what is right there. I'm going to do 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then I'll be back in just a moment. So you're trying this one on your own right now. All right, so if you're getting started, you should have -3 in your box. Check that you made it a negative because this was positive. And then we have 1x squared. So we're going to start there. Positive 5 and positive 1. We didn't skip anything, so we don't need any placeholders. Go ahead and keep going.
Miss, I have a quick question. How do you determine when you have to add or subtract when you get the number when you multiply? Like if it, can I say the number or not yet?
Yeah. I know what you mean. If it's a negative, you're subtracting. If it's a positive, you're adding.
Okay, bet. Thank you.
No problem. All right, so you're gonna bring that 1 straight down. What am I gonna do with the 1?
You multiply it times -3.
Yeah, multiply times -3. And I'm gonna get -3. 1 times -3. So in this situation, like Gabby asked earlier, since it's minus, that's when we're, or since it's negative, that's why we're subtracting. So 5 minus 3, that'd be 2. 2 here. Cool. We're gonna do 2 times -3 gives me -6. And then since it's negative, we're subtracting 1 minus 6 would be -5. Got to the end of my line. That means this is my
Placeholder?
nope, not a placeholder. Placeholders are zeros at the top. What's the other word?
Remainder?
Remainder, yes. Thank you also, Mia. Remainder, for sure. Okay, so that's my remainder. So then 2, is 2 an x or is 2 a constant, like the number by itself?
It's X.
Go look at your other examples. When we had, what was always right next to the remainder?
The number. Oh my God.
The number. Yeah, we don't want to forget the number. Otherwise, we're going to like totally throw off everything. So this is our number. And then, Gabby, your x is going to be the next one. So you always have your remainder, your number, your x, and then if there's x squared or x to the third, you have that. All right, so here we have 1x plus 2, because this is positive. And then I have minus, because it's a negative, and it's 5. But since it's my remainder, it's over. And what are we going to put it over?
X plus 3.
X plus 3. Just like that. So this is my answer for this one. All right. Now that we've done 3 examples, I'm going to relaunch this poll one more time. Tell me how you're feeling now. Awesome. Seeing more 4s and 5s this time, which is great. That's good news. And still some 2s and 3s. That's awesome. No problem. I'm going to have us go ahead. We're going to skip this problem for today. If you want to know how to do it, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as the ones from Tuesday, where you just like plug the number in. So we can do that. If you really want to know, you can watch the video that's on Canvas, but we don't need this for our homework today. Yeah, no problem. If you got mixed up, no big deal. We are looking good. So by the end of our lesson today, these are our results. We have still a person feeling like a 2. We have 5 people feeling like a 3. Get you. We have 1 person feeling like a 4 and 8 people feeling like a 5. So if you're a 4 or a 5, the next part of our lesson is our assignment. I'm just going to go through it, and then I will also support us. We can do a few of the problems together. So for part 1, if you are on track, you're choosing 8 problems. And if you're honors, you're choosing 10. But there are 13 to choose from. If you want to do the number ones, there are some more number ones down here if you want to choose those. You can, but I would not recommend it. Let's just practice the synthetic division for today. So then you just have the checkpoint form. So it's literally just either 8 problems or 10 problems, depending on what level you're at, 8 or 10. If you are a 4 or a 5 on our poll today, I want you to go ahead and try and get started. If you're a 2 or a 3, I'm going to do number 1 and number 2, right? Number 1 and number 2, so that we can do those together before our class time is over. Okay. So either way, you can keep writing on that same piece of paper. NBD, you can jump in so that we can get started on our homework today. All right. So if you're a 1 or a 2, hang out with me. I'm going to put a sticky note here so I can block off number 1. Cool. All right. So this is my f of x right here, and this is g of x right here. So I'm doing 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 over x minus 2. So I know that I'm doing division, so I'm going to draw that upside down division bar. And what number am I going to put in here? What number am I going to multiply by? +2, absolutely. So since it is -2, that's why I switch it up to a +2. Full show. All right, and then I need to put my coefficients here. So I'm going to work with these numbers here. So I have 2. If it's helpful to you, you can put x squared here. And then once you put x squared, you can put like, okay, I need an x, and then I need the number. So whatever x is, x goes with 3. So put a 3 right here. And then the number that's by itself is 4, but it's -4. So I have -4 right here. -4. So I'm going to bring that 2 straight down. That 2 is coming straight down. I have 2 times 2 would be 4. I'm going to put that right here. Good job, Gab. I'm going to add, yes, good job. So 3 plus 4 is 7. Do 7 times 2 would be 14. -4 plus 14 would be 10. Right, so -4 plus 14 will be 10. It's the same as 14 minus 4, so +10. 10 is my remainder. Yep, good. 10 is my remainder. 7 is my number. 2 is my x. So when I write my answer, I'm going to write 2x plus 7 plus 10 over, what is it going to be over?
X take away 2. Oh, X
Uh-huh. Yep, x minus 2. X minus 2. So my remainder, remember, becomes a fraction. And I can see that my answer is correct. Nice. Do we have any questions on number 1? Negative. Doing all right? All right. Cool. All right. I'm gonna move this down here so we can see number 2. Hopefully you got that answer. Cool. All right. So for my number 2, I've got 2x to the third minus 11x squared plus 9x minus 20 over x minus 5. Does anyone want to try to walk us through this one? Like, anybody want to talk us through it?
I want to, but I feel like I'm a mess up.
That's okay. We'll tell you if you mess up.
Okay,
Try
so you do positive 5,
it. Positive 5.
and then you start by 2, negative 11, and then 9, and then negative 20. And then you, if you want, you can label them. So
So
start
I could,
yeah, x to 3, and then x2, and then x, and then number.
okay.
And then I'm stuck.
Okay. So you set it up perfectly, right? And you made sure that you didn't need any placeholders, like no zeros or anything. So what do we do? Look back at your notes. What do we do very first thing?
Drop 2.
Drop down the 2.
So then you multiply 5 times 2, and then that would be 10. Negative 11 plus 10. And I don't know what that is.
Negative 1.
There
Negative
you go.
1. You can use your
Then
calculator.
Multiplying. So times negative 1. It's negative 5. And then take away 5.
So we'd have 9 minus 5.
4. So 5 times 4 would be 20. So it'd be negative 20, take away 20. No. Is it, or adding?
Adding, because it's positive.
Yeah. And then negative 20 plus 20, and there'll be 0.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we got our numbers. So we have our remainder here. How do we write our official answer? Gabby, if you're talking, you muted yourself.
Yeah, it will be 2x to the power of 3. And then
it's not x to the power of 3. Let's label them backwards. So here's my remainder. What is this?
Number.
Negative
1 is my x. And then 2 to the power of 2.
Yeah, x squared. So you'll notice, Gabby, if you label them at the top up here, they're not going to match. They're going to be 1 less than it was before.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
But that's only if you have a remainder, right?
You're always going to have something in this box.
Right.
Like it might be a 0, it might be a 77, it might be a 4, it might be a negative 2, right? You're always going to have something here. So the numbers at the labels at the top will always be 1 less than the labels at the bottom. Okay. So can you tell me what my answer is?
2x squared, and then 1x plus 4, and then plus 0 over x negative 5.
Yes, we can write it like this, but since it's 0, like plus 0 anything doesn't really exist, right? So then this is my answer, by itself, and you can see that it matches right here on my answer.
So in that case, if it's 0, you don't have to add the x take -5. If it's 0.
Right. We don't have to do this part when if the answer is 0, like if the remainder is 0, we don't have to write it at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Great job. Snaps for Gabby. Amazing job, Gab. You did awesome. Muy bien. Okay, team. We are wrapping up our time together. You have at least 2 problems done. So you either have 6 problems left or 8 problems left, depending. And then we are going to jump in. We'll jump into the rest of that there. If you could please, if you're still listening to my voice, if you could please send me a text message or an email if you don't want me to have your phone number, that's fine, with a picture of what you did in class today. That helps me to give you partial credit, even if you end up not turning it in. So if you could please send me that text message right now. My phone's about to blow up. I'm a big fan. For sure. How do we turn in the work? Great question. You're going to turn it in on Canvas. Let me grab you that link. I'm going to go ahead and grab that link here. One moment. Gabby, up to you, but you can decide. So everyone is going to go ahead. You can actually upload your picture to Canvas if that's more helpful. The Canvas link is in the chat right now. It's in the chat. And then you can upload your pictures to Canvas, or you can upload the assignment. I also have the assignment link here for you. If you want to go straight to the assignment, you can make a copy of it. So that will take you to Canvas. Anthony, you are on track. On track. Oh, yeah, on track. Do the on track one. Cool. Other than that, you are free to go, and I will see you next Tuesday. Cool. Bye, friends. Hello, my friends. ¿Cómo estás? We're actually going to take a break because I know you just came from Miss Poll, and 90 minutes is a long time to hang out.